Hey there guys, what's going on? Gale here. Welcome back to the YouTube channel once again for another video, and today we are taking a small detour from the Persona 5X release week to talk about Danmachi Battle Chronicle, a game I was playing for quite some time over the last few years, and along with that it was from the franchise that I love a lot. Of course, Danmachi is one of my favorite franchises in terms of any manga, anime, light novel, and so of course I used to play it and then I quit because the game wasn't any good. I just stopped enjoying it and I stopped making content on it, as you can see by the channel now, of course, right? I'm doing Star Rail, Genshin, I'm doing Persona content, and so I abandoned it. But I wanted to make this video because today they officially announced the end of service for the game, which was not a surprise to me whatsoever. I expected them to make this announcement and I expected them to end their service right after the second anniversary, and that is exactly what seems to be happening. So we're going to go through the entire thing through together. We're going to check out what exactly is going to happen at the end of service. Is there going to be anything that they're planning on doing after the end of service with an offline app, or is there anything they're going to do to kind of store and preserve the stories that we've had in this game, the original stories. We're gonna go through it together. Of course, if you guys go on to enjoy this video, remember to leave a like, subscribe to the channel for all that sort of good stuff, and let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys think? If you still play Danmachi Battle Chronicle and you're subscribed to the channel, how do you feel? Let me know in the comment section down below. I'm curious to see what you guys have to say down below. Now, before we get in, quick thing, if you guys are looking for a brand new game to play, again, I always recommend the Hoyoverse gacha games. They're fantastic. Genshin's going to be getting its anniversary very soon. Star Rail is getting a collab event with Fate Stay Night. It's a good time to start both games. And then on top of that, if you want to start a completely brand new game that's coming out, Persona 5X is releasing later this week. I'll be creating content on it. I'll be playing it on stream regularly as well. So if you guys want to jump on that, I would highly recommend to do so. And from what I've heard, the Persona game is very free-to-play friendly compared to what DanChro was, for example. But it is very free-to-play friendly and quite easy to get into. So if you guys want to jump in on that, those are some gachas I recommend if you are looking for other gacha games to play. Now, let's take a look at the tweets and the announcements that they've made. So, important end of service announcement. To our valued DanChro players, we regret to announce that the end of service for Danmachi Battle Chronicle will happen on Monday, September 29th, 2025 at 3 p.m. UTC plus 9, so 3 p.m. JST, that is. Now, that is the exact same time, if I'm not mistaken, as what the PS4 and PS5 end of services were going to happen. I imagine that they thought that they'd be able to survive with only just, cutting the service for the PS4, PS5 version, but clearly that's not the case. That's clearly not the case whatsoever. The DanChro team sincerely apologizes for this sudden announcement and expresses our deepest gratitude for your continued support. And while there is only a short time remaining, we hope you continue to enjoy DanChro to the very end. That ain't happening, Chief. I'm sorry about that. Let's see what this director's letter has to say, because I want to see what they have to say. Like I said in my stream, I was talking about this in my live stream, because they kind of made a preemptive announcement saying, oh, we have a major announcement regarding the future of Danmachi Battle Chronicle, and you could tell that was probably going to be an EOS announcement, or that they were shutting down the service for a while and then they'll come back stronger than ever, kind of thing, kind of like what Sword Art Online did with one of their gacha games. But nonetheless, let's take a look and see what they have to say, because I said that they should be apologizing throughout this thing, to be quite honest. I think they should be apologizing throughout this letter, so we're gonna see if they actually do. So quick thing, to our valued DanChro players, we have released a letter from the directors regarding the end of service. We would appreciate if you could take a moment to read it. Director's letter to our users. We are truly grateful for your continued support of DanChro. We are Nakabayashi and Akaiwa, the directors of the game. It is with great regret that we must announce DanChro will be ending all services as of Monday, 29th September 2025 UTC plus 9. We would like to express our heartfelt gratitude to all of you who have supported and enjoyed the game over the years, and we sincerely apologize for having to bring you such unfortunate news. Our team has been working tirelessly to improve and refine DanChro, striving to create the best possible gaming experience for our players. You were far, far away from creating the best possible gaming experience for your players, to be honest. I'll go through it and then we'll talk about my feelings on this matter. However, we have reached a point where we believe it is difficult to maintain the level of service that meets our players' expectations. With deep regret, we have made the difficult decision to terminate the game's service. We sincerely apologize for not meeting your expectations. Further details regarding the service termination can be found separately in the end of service announcement. Please take a moment to review this important information. Additionally, the DanChro Discord server will be closing on July 31st, and we extend a heartfelt gratitude to everyone who has contributed to the DanChro community. Although the service will be ending, we are making the following preparations to ensure that all of our loyal players can enjoy continue to enjoy the world of DanChro to the very end. All right. Upcoming schedule. The following schedule is planned for in-game and out-of-game content. Starting the 30th of July, we will be releasing the second anniversary event, which will be the final event story for DanChro. The second anniversary event features a brand new story written by Fujino Omori. We plan to release a promotional video for the second anniversary story on the 21st of July, so please look forward to it. Now, they said it's only story. If it's a story only, that's fair. You know, they're not going to release any brand new units, it seems like. We're going to have to wait and see. But I'm quite curious to see what the story is going to be. At the end of the day, it is a Fujino Omori special. I'm going to watch it anyways. But yeah, I mean, sure, I guess we'll take a look. The stories haven't been amazing. Even last year's anniversary story didn't just compare to anything Danmachi ever did, so unsurprising there. You've got obviously the regular schedules over here, of course, right, for everything: United Final Battle, Uncharted Battlefield, Battle Arena, Abyssal Exploration, and so on and so forth. Once again, we sincerely apologize for the decision to terminate the service. We would like to express our deepest gratitude to everyone who has supported DanChro. The entire DanChro team is working hard to make the final event story, which begins on the 30th of July, an enjoyable experience for all. Although there is only a short time remaining, we hope that you continue to enjoy DanChro until the very end. From the DanChro directors, Nakabayashi and Akaiwa. Alright, let's see now. So first and foremost, I would like to say at least I can't even say they tried, because it doesn't feel like they tried, in my opinion. So yeah, they've changed the announcements. Of course, everything's gonna be shut down over afterwards, after a period. I'm actually quite curious, because I've been hearing murmurs that they're planning on doing a offline version for the JP version, if I'm not mistaken. Let me have a look and see. I want to just have a quick look and see. Because I heard apparently that they're actually planning on releasing an offline version of the game on JP, if I'm not mistaken. So I just want to quickly have a look and see. Yeah, so there is going to be an offline version of DanChro without some of the features, releasing on the day after, basically, the end of service happens, or around that time. So JP is getting an offline version. But anyways, let me talk about my feelings regarding this, okay? So first and foremost, this is not unexpected. Like, this is not unexpected whatsoever. This is something that a lot of us has been saying for a very long time. I've been saying after the second anniversary, I think it's done. It's a wrap up, you know, because usually these anniversary stories and everything, they're planned well ahead of time, and they usually just, you know, do it, and then, you know, end of service starts to happen. It was the same thing that kind of happened with Danmachi in a way as well, where technically you could argue and say the 6th anniversary was the final anniversary, right? And that was the final major event. While we did have some things coming later, like some other limited units, you know, we had Festas releasing and stuff like that. After the 6th anniversary, there was no fresh event. There was no new event whatsoever, and it was just running on pure vibes, which is very impressive to say the least. But yeah, the 6th anniversary was the final event. It's a very similar situation happening here, where the 2nd anniversary is the final event, but they're ending immediately after the 2nd anniversary event, which is, I think, completely fair, to be quite honest. I think it makes sense that, you know, it's just wrapping up and completely going away. For me, the biggest issue DanChro has had, I'd love to say that they tried, and I feel like at some points they did try, but I think the expectations of the players were much higher than what the game was planning on giving us, if you know what I mean, right? Like, don't get me wrong, Danmachi was fantastic for its time, but it was definitely bolstered by certain things, like a very nice pity system, you could argue and say, because of the fact that it made it easier for either collectors or people who are whaling, right? Whereas DanChro is more of the mold of a normal gacha game, where you have to go and do 30 multis to get something fantastic, right? Or 30 multis to guarantee and pity yourself whatever you want, which was obviously not going to be appreciated by former Danmachi players. I'll come on to the gameplay and story side of things a bit later, but I want to focus on the gacha side of things, because don't get it twisted. People will say like, oh, it wasn't just the gacha, it was other things as well. But let's be real, it was primarily the gacha that a lot of people hated when the game dropped. And not to mention, it would have been fine doing 30 multis if the income of Celas was fine, and it wasn't, and that is the issue. So you already were behind on that front, for one. Now let's talk about story, because let's be real, the stories were just incomparable to Danmachi in every facet. Like I said previously, you know, this comes down to Mori not being a more core part of the team when it comes to writing the stories, compared to what he was in Danmachi, where he was actively writing and rewriting stories for the Danmachi team. Again, you get a bit of a flaw there as well, and you are already, you know, starting on a, you know, back foot. You're starting on your back foot basically there. Now you've got 2 back feet already, and now you've got the other things, the gameplay loop, which, let's be real, the gameplay itself was very hit or miss, especially now that we're in a modern era of effectively AAA gacha games. Let's call it that. Let's call it how it is. We're in the modern day era of AAA gacha games. You've got your Genshins, you've got your Honkai Stars, you've got your Zenless, Wuthering Waves, Persona 5X is coming out. You've got things like, you know, MTE planned, Arknights Enfield, Azure Premilia coming out, so on and so forth. You're coming out in an era where gacha games cannot be either, you just cannot falter at any step, basically, right? But not only that, if you try and make your gacha game competitive in any way, and or you know, you try and incorporate an action system into your gacha game, an action RPG style gacha game, and you don't do a really good job in your combat side of things, people will go and play other games. On the other hand, people will go and play casual games because they don't want to play your game for far too long. Things like things like Magic Stone Scramble, things like United Final Battle, stuff like that. They just took far too much time for a game that shouldn't have been a time investment. The beautiful thing about, for example, Danmachi was that they'd set it up in a way where you could do auto quickly, just finish it off quickly and be done with it. And it was fantastic in that sense. And you could also plan out like, oh, this is what the characters do on certain turns, and then you send them and they do the job, kind of thing, right? So it made it a lot easier for you when you played Danmachi, because you never had to pay attention to it, and you could do other games, play other games, and do other stuff. Whereas we're here to try and we're here and trying to play this game, and it's just taking far too long for far too much, and it was just a pointless effort, to be honest. It was a pointless effort. For me personally, right? For me personally, okay, so yeah, this event, okay, so this is another thing they mentioned. This event will not include quests or ranking content, that's a W. It'll instead focus on delivering a rich narrative experience through the event story. I'm hoping that's the case. I'm really hoping that's the case. But to be honest, for me, what hurts the most in terms of this game and why I feel like they stopped trying at a point is we gave so many surveys. We gave so many surveys, so many things to work on the game, and while 1 or 2 things would be implemented, the majority was just ignored, and as a result, you just see the game slowly deteriorating to the point where it was just no longer fun, right? It was just no longer fun. For me, this is a case of it was inevitable. It was inevitable, and I'm not going to really, you know, push on for much longer here. I'm not going to yap any longer because I already spoke about it in my previous video. I mean, if you take a look at It's Over Gale, right? Where is it? Where is it? Where was it? Goodbye DanChro, maybe it'll be Goodbye DanChro. Goodbye Galavant. Galavant is not my name. DanChro. Gale Ride. I already said what I feel like about this game in during that era. I don't know where it's gone. I have no idea where it is. It doesn't want to pop up anyways. You'll find it. If you go back in time, you'll probably find my video talking about the game and what my feelings are. I think that this game could have done so much better. I think this game could have done so much better, and I do think that it also, like I said, I think it was definitely chained down by the fact that it was the release right after Danmachi, but they didn't help themselves by not making them try and do better than Danmachi. You know, it's hard to be better than Danmachi, especially with what they had and what they had going on. You know, the original soundtracks, the original scores, the amazing artwork, the amazing stories, the easy to access gameplay loop. everything was in favor of Danmimo, and of course making a new game that was going to be better than Danmimo is very difficult. I get that, but you didn't even try. It felt like there was no attempt made. It felt like they just said, you know what, we'll do the bare minimum, we'll do what every other gacha does and see how it goes. And you can't do that, not in this era. No, you can't do what every other JP gacha does. This is the reason why I've complained about so many different JP gachas, not just DanChro, but just every new JP gacha that releases. It just feels like everybody's stuck and very stubborn in not moving on to, you know, doing what CN gachas are doing or KR gachas are doing. People are just stuck in their old ways of, like, we just have to be as stingy as possible so that we can get as much money as possible, and that doesn't work. That just doesn't work. You have to balance it with good gameplay. You have to balance it with a good experience, and that just isn't what happened here. Now we'll see what happens with the future of Danmachi games. I have no idea. This is the last Danmachi game that was live, of course, in terms of a live service game, so who knows what's gonna happen next. I don't foresee us getting a new gacha game for a while, especially, you know, with the contract between Gree and NeoWiz being terminated basically, and NeoWiz going their own separate ways, which would have been, man, it would have been amazing to see what NeoWiz could have done, especially because they were the ones who made Lies of P, which is a fantastic game. But we're gonna have to see if Gree is able to find somebody new, somebody fresh to be able to, you know, pick up the IP or to pick up that contract for the gacha game, or if they're planning on just not doing any gacha games for the time being and just focusing on, you know, primarily focusing on the light novels for now, and then, you know, trying to figure out how to expand the franchise. The whole Danmachi franchise is going to need a reboot, in my opinion, in terms of like the media side of things, right? Because the light novel is doing great, to be fair. The manga for Sword Art Toria is doing well, and the manga for the original Danmachi is now starting to kick back up and go in the right direction. But the anime has been, well, I wouldn't say a disappointment, but it definitely has felt like they've gone a step backwards when it comes to the anime, right? Season 5 is still good for me personally, and I still really thoroughly enjoyed it, but it definitely had some issues and flaws compared to Season 4, which was a fantastic season, right? So definitely you know, the anime needs to have a little bit of a reset, effectively, maybe take a little bit more time rather than just going straight back into a new season, right? Game side, they need to have a complete workaround and actually put more budget into their games, because clearly I think this is also a part of it is just like, we'll give the bare minimum budget and hope for the best kind of thing, which doesn't really work. When it comes to this sort of thing nowadays, you have to put a bigger budget if you want to make a really good gacha game. But we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to just wait and see. As a Danmachi fan, I kind of hate that we've lost another gacha game. It is kind of sad in that sense, but was it unexpected? No. Am I glad that it's finally ending? Yes, in a way, to be honest, because it's just done and dusted. You get it out of the way and you move on. You focus on, you know, saving more money to get the next game up or something. I don't know, but at least you're done and dusted with it, right? You're done and dusted with it. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel, all that sort of good stuff. Persona 5X videos will continue from tonight onwards. This was just a bit of a detour, like I said. But yeah, appreciate all of you all for tuning in. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Ciao, everybody. Bye-bye.